second story that we are discussing today in greater detail is the role that India could play in ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict. There are now more global voices that are raising that possibly India can make a pitch to start the negotiation, possibly even resolve the conflict. Now, it's Italy, another major power in Europe, that has said that India should play a role. We're going to come to that in just a bit, but before that, let's also tell our viewers that Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is also likely to visit Moscow soon, and could this be the precursor to India brokering peace? That's our big question that we are asking on India Global. Let me get in both Shashank, Ambassador Shashank, who's the former Foreign Secretary, as well as Dr. Mridula Ghosh, who's Associate Professor, National University of Kiev, joining me to discuss this. And let me just quickly play that and put that graphic on for our viewers to see, which is what exactly President Putin said and what exactly Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, is saying when they are both saying that India can play a larger role in terms of mediating. That's what on your screens is what President Putin said at Vladivostok, when he said that India could be one of the partners helping resolve this conflict. And then, of course, there's another global voice coming in. That's Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. All right, Ambassador Shashank, let me start with you, sir. As things stand right now, this comes after Prime Minister Modi's visit to Moscow, followed by his visit to Kiev. And it seemed that there was only a little bit that India could do, probably be at best a bystander. But as things stand right now, India is far more than a bystander and could probably make those initial steps towards a possible peace proposal.
Well, India has two roles to play as seen by the global community. One is that it's a fast emerging economy which imports almost 80% of its energy requirements from abroad. So therefore, for a very large population of India, we have to ensure that their energy requirements or other food and other security requirements, they are not disturbed in any way. And therefore, India has to play that role in order to show that, yes, we are for peace, for dialogue and diplomacy. Second role that India has to play is an important member of the Global South community, where not only at G20 meeting, India was able to get the whole African Union included as a member of the G20 get-togethers, but also we are involved in several other partnerships like SCO, like BRICS and many others, whereby we have to represent the views of the Global South. And therefore, while Russia would try to see that, yes, India looks after its interests, which also match with Russian interests, but then they are saying that, well, as a representative of the Global South, which they trust very much, they would be willing to see that India can, along with other countries, can play a role. Ukraine also feels the same way. But I think the point is that the Ukrainian people are suffering very much, like the Russian people are also suffering. And therefore, it is for the Ukrainian government and Russian government to decide as to when do they actually want to achieve peace. Absolutely. So India has to create the ground along with the Global South. And then we just have to wait and see how the two main adversaries are able to reach that stage.
Right. Dr. Ghosh, come in on that is it now up to the leaders of the Global South and countries like India that could actually now identify possible peace proposals?
Well, I really will welcome such an idea. And even, when our Prime Minister says this is not an era of war, and he reiterates the idea of peace. So from that standpoint, if we can really make a qualitative difference in brokering any such deal between Ukraine and Russia, that would be great. Having said that, I would, however, state that we must be equidistant and we must be very balanced and very neutral. So that should be also the popular perception. Here, the popular perception is a little bit different due to different factors. However, people really it will be a very big difference to the people's lives, because we are spending sleepless nights in Kiev. Every day there is drone attack, there is missile attack, and it's terrible, including the capital, Kiev. So I believe that nobody in this world wants peace. As Ambassador Shashank has said, the people of Ukraine and also the people of Russia, because they are suffering. I would also say there is a policy perspective. We are having very top-notch people talking to both sides,
Yes.
and I believe that the impact of our diplomacy, it's a big test for our diplomacy. We can make a sustainable peace, not just supporting only on the Russian side or totally on the Ukrainian side, but remembering that this is an unprovoked war.
Okay, let me ask this to Ambassador Shashank, that when we are talking about possible peace proposals or negotiations where India could play a role, how do you see a National Security Advisor's trip to Russia? Because it is being seen as part of a larger push towards peace where India could be a major player.
What has happened so far, that many countries like China, Brazil and others, they have given some proposals which should be acceptable more or less to one side or the other side. Now, India, our national security advisor has gone to Moscow for meeting with the other global South leaders. And they have to make sure that it's not a question of proving that India is in the middle, that India will not do certain things to look after its own economy, or which would be helpful to the Russian economy also. But what India will do is that we want peace. We want that end to this war. And therefore, we are quite willing to go ahead along with the other countries who are for peace. Because what happens that if there is war in Europe, definitely European people get affected. But the global South, which gets the maximum impact, because most of them don't have 100% of their resources under their own control.
Right.
They depend on others' supplies. So therefore, it's very important that we take care of the interests of the global South also,
right,
when we are thinking of peace and dialogue and diplomacy in Europe.
I guess that is the larger role that India is playing right now, which is, as a very responsible leader of the global South, it is making efforts to at least bring Russia and Ukraine on the negotiating table. With that, it's a wrap. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out the time and joining me on India Global. And thanks so much, viewers, for tuning in.